Come on, baby. You can do it. Wow, what a bass sound, man.
David loved for me to play effects. He would just always ask me, hey man, bring those effects and just play some crazy stuff. I'm like, okay. Oh, I don't remember that part. Oh wow, seems like I heard that for the first time.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna play this music on the 18th.
Okay, wait, hold that thought. We'll
Okay.
talk about that.
mom got her teenage.
Whoa. How my mom got her teenage body back. We don't care. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have as my guest Ollie Basie-O Elder. And Ollie and I met on a Kevin Rhodes production. We did a benefit for the fire victims here, and first I thought Ollie was, who did I think you were? I thought you were somebody else because
Was it Jeff?
yeah, maybe Jeff, right? Because
I
Jeff was
think
supposed to be there.
he was there too.
Yeah,
Jeff
Jeff
Littleton.
Littleton. So I went up and I said, "You look really different," and your response was so cool. It was like something like, "Oh yeah, something like," and then I realized I don't think it's Jeff actually.
Yeah, I realized that you mistook me for someone else.
Yeah,
And when you
yeah.
said I look really different, I was like, yeah, I really do. I look a lot different because I know I'm not that guy that you're thinking of.
Well, your response immediately made me like you, and
Oh, thank
and
you.
then you played, and the music was great. It was really nice. So, yeah, and then I thought I'm going to ask Ollie on the show.
And
He
I
seems
really
like a
appreciate
good
it.
guy to talk to.
Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. So grateful.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So, first and foremost, what you were just watching was David Cherry, Who Stole Mario, and Don Littleton on drums, and you.
Yeah.
Where was that? It was a
We were
festival.
in, that was quite a while back, but we were in Sardinia, Italy.
Oh, cool.
And it was a festival actually honoring David's father, Don. So it was a festival concert series that had a bunch of musicians. They just had everybody who played with Don was there,
Oh, wow.
and the entire Cherry family. Because you may know there's several of them and fairly successful in various genres of music.
Actually, I don't think I do. I knew about Don. I don't even know if
Yeah.
I
And
who else is there?
he has a daughter, Nene Cherry,
Uh-huh.
and she had a pop hit back in '89.
Oh.
And she's still doing music, a lot of music, world music. And then later on, her brother Eagle Eye Cherry came around,
Oh.
and he had a hit back in the '90s and did some music with Santana and such.
Oh.
So they're all doing. They're out of Europe.
Oh.
Don had the American family and he had the European family.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, they're out of Europe. They're like out of Stockholm, I believe, and
Oh,
now living in London and such. So yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
what
think I'm
a
gonna
neat.
get to see a few of them soon. We're gonna have a party for David's aunt, her 90th birthday party, and everybody's getting together. I'm lucky enough to be considered family. I've been around so long.
How'd you get involved with David or the family?
We lived on the same street.
Oh,
Yeah,
where was that?
over in LA, south of LA, like west of Compton.
Uh-huh.
A little. We always called it Compton, but we were in the unincorporated area. I think they call it Rosewood now, where I grew up.
Uh-huh.
And David and his family lived in. Actually, David's grandmother and his great grandmother lived down the street from
Oh, wow.
him, and his auntie was there. They had two houses on the lot, and as I was a young boy, just running up and down the street, I'd be walking down the street and seeing David sitting on the porch playing flute, and then but I knew the family, I was brought home from the hospital to that street, so I grew up on that block,
Yeah.
and so David's family moved in at some point. Mainly his mother, his grandmother, and his great grandmother, and so David came. I think David had actually hurt himself. He was over in Sweden with his father, and he hurt his foot, and so he came back here to recuperate, and so he was staying with his grandmother and his great grandmother, and so we met. Actually, I think he was flirting with my sister, and she told him, "Hey, my little brother plays bass," and David was like, "Well, tell him to come on down here." So I brought my bass down. I was like 13 years old. I brought my bass down, and we got into the back room and started playing.
Wow. And
Yeah,
just continued on for
and
years.
just continued on until he passed away a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, it seemed like uh, that music went in and out of a groove that everybody was playing. And like when it went out of it, it seemed like everybody was doing their own groove, right? Would you
oh,
say that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That song always trips me out playing that song. It's like David came up with that bass line, and it's in such a crazy timing. It's in four, but where he places things is just like I don't know where he gets it, but it's just crazy. So, and I have such a trippy time playing it. But once I get into it, I do. But yeah, but once the music starts, and we can go anywhere
Yeah.
we want to go, and anyhow, I mean, it's with me, with him, how we do that music is just like when we first started. When I was 13, he's like, play something. I was like, what do you want me to play? He's like, what key? Any key. And I just start playing anything. He's like, yeah, that's it. And him and the horn playing, these other guys, they started banging away. And I'm just like, what the heck is this? What's going on? And it's almost like that for me every time when I played with him over to the end. I mean, we would learn some lines and learn some parts, but some parts we get into, and it's just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm just like kind of out of it. But people would tell me they enjoy it, so it's like, great, let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I've experienced a little bit of that. I don't do it all the time, but like where not everybody, but enough of the people are doing really different things. And if you're conscious and aware of the space, it it's kind of substantial. It's like it's there. It's really
Right.
there because it's filling the space. You're creating that space
Hmm.
and that's what's in the space, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, you have to really listen and just try to fit in some kind of
Yeah.
where,
Yeah.
find a hole to plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be free
Yes. And be
enough,
free.
like out of your head,
Yeah.
right?
You just got really reckless abandon.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good name for a song.
Maybe that's the next one. I'll race you. I'll race you to it. Well,
Um,
the good thing is you can't copyright titles. So we could both have the same title.
your that band that I saw you with, is that your steady band now?
Well, I don't have enough to keep people on retainer.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, you know, that's my first call, guy.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Okay.
A few of them, yeah, helped me do the record that I produced. Still pending, upcoming. It's all done though. It's recorded. It's just administrative stuff,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But yeah, that was Anthony Graham Jr. on keys. He played on all the tracks on my record. Mike Roundtree, affectionately known as Mike Tree. He played on one song, and then even Don Littleton came up and sat in with us that day because he had just got out of surgery on his hand
Yeah.
like a month before. You may have known that, and he
No,
was
I
just
didn't.
getting back to playing, so uh, I couldn't really have him on that gig at that time. But he was well enough to come through and sit in, so he sat in. He played most of the tracks on the tune.
Uh-huh.
And the other two guys, the guitar player Fleming Robinson, he and I, we did an R&B album together.
He was
We
good.
Yeah, we kind of do R&B stuff together. We do just about everything together. But I stepped away on that one. I just kind of snuck out the back door and went to make a solo project. You know, you want to dive in and see if you can sink, or you're going to sink, or you're going to swim.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that, and it just all came together really well.
Yeah. Um, I knew the piano player. He
Mm,
was, I can't remember exactly, but he was a student of mine or
he may have been.
in a workshop or, yeah,
Okay.
because, and we fondly remembered each other, but I,
Yeah.
I
Did
actually don't totally remember,
Did you do work at Cal State LA?
yes.
because that's where he graduated from Cal State. He was
Oh,
in the
okay.
music program at Cal State LA.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe.
Nice
Yeah.
guy and a really good player.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
talented guy.
Very good.
Hmm.
And he sang too, right?
Oh yeah, he's a great singer
Maybe,
as well.
maybe I gave him singing lessons.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I gave private lessons there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, he's a very good singer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Um, so, was your family musical?
It was encouraged. Not really. I think my mother and her brother, had lessons when they were youngsters,
Yeah.
and they didn't carry it through. But my mother, music played in my house almost 24 hours a day. I mean, all waking hours, music was in the background all the time. And then my mother would just make sure musical instruments was around the house. They would just be there. For me, it was just like it'd be, I don't play guitar, but I've had a guitar in my life ever since I was a little boy. My older brother, he was playing guitar, but there was always like some type of musical instrument around the house, even if it was like a real fancy toy or whatever. I remember my mother buying my sister this little electric organ. It was really like a toy, but it was nice though. Real keys, nice sounds. Had some of the buttons like you would see on an accordion or something like that. You could press them, and that's when I found out my mother could play a little piano because I didn't know. And she came in there and started playing some boogie woogie, and I was like, "What?" Had no idea, and then found out that she took lessons when she was young, and blah blah blah, and just never kept it up. But we would always get musical instruments. My brother had a guitar. I had a little drum set when I was a kid, little small drum set, and then I tore it up, and so I didn't get anything else. you know. So, but I was really fond of music, really loved music, and so when I was like in the fourth grade in elementary school, they like, who wants to go and play a musical instrument? My hand just shot up. My hand shot up, and I think in our elementary we had a roving teacher. They would come around like once a week or whatever, and so we all got together, and the teacher sat us down, and she put out this book with pictures of instruments. And she said, point to the one you want to play. So right away, I pointed to the acoustic bass. Oh. And I didn't know what it was, but I want to play that. And then she goes, well, we don't have one of those, so you got to play a violin. I was like, well, why did you ask then? So I think the game was, they was hoping you would pick a violin. I think that's what they wanted.
That's so funny.
So played violin when I was like 11 and 12 or so.
Oh, cool.
And then the music teacher from the junior high came through to get you signed up for the junior high orchestra. And he asked us all what we played. And I said, I play a violin. And he looked at my hands because I'm relatively a large guy and I was kind of a large kid, and he looked at my hand and said, your hand's too big for the violin. I'm gonna put you on viola. I'm like, what the heck's a viola? So started playing viola.
Wow.
Played viola in 7th grade, 8th grade. But when I was in the 7th grade, I kept hearing this sound come from the back of the room, that big, deep, bassy sound. And I turned around and said, that's what I want to play, And guess who was on that bass?
Who?
Nedra Wheeler.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
that was Nedra Wheeler.
Wow.
Yeah, she was like 2 years older than me. I guess I shouldn't be telling her age. She was.
Well, I don't know how old you are, so that's okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I am 62 today.
Today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, I wrote that down too. Wow.
Yeah, you were going to get to that. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
No, because I might not have looked down.
Right.
Wow. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So yeah, Nedra Wheeler was on the bass, and then she left. She had graduated that year. So I was like, the bass chair is opening up, and I told my instructor that, hey, I want to play bass, and he was like, no, he's going to have this other kid play bass. We had this one kid in the band. He's moved out of California, but he was back then. This dude was a multi-talented, just blessed musician. This guy was 13 years old, and he could play damn near any instrument in the orchestra. So he's gonna have James play bass, and I was like, no, I'm playing bass. So I used to stay after school and just employ the same techniques he used to teach us the viola and all that. So I taught myself how to play the bass. And I was determined. I told him I'm playing bass. And so the next year, guess who played bass?
Cool.
Me. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I'm curious, did you have a school bass, or did you, I mean,
yeah.
your parents didn't buy you a bass, right?
No. We had instruments back then.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s,
Yeah.
and I was Compton Unified School District, we had a good music program.
Yeah.
There was plenty of I was the only bass player, but there was 4 or 5 other bassists there. And we had no kid had to buy any instruments. They had all the saxophones and trombones and flutes and piano and all the string section
Yeah.
and some percussion.
Yeah. Did you ever see that movie, The Last Repair Shop?
I didn't.
It came out
Did I?
recently,
Uh-huh.
relatively recently. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful story. It's in LA. It's this uh, organization. I guess it's a city organization. They're a repair shop for all the instruments. They come in like from the school district.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, they get repaired, and they go out again. And the people working there, just gorgeous people, and the stories, and they have a few follow-up stories of the
Mm-hmm.
kids who received the instruments and how far they went. It's a beautiful movie.
Was that like a private shop that contracted to the school districts, or was it a shop that was
I'm not
actually under
sure.
the school district, or
I'm
what?
not sure. I'm gonna like look that up right now because I'm
Okay.
curious. The Last Repair Shop.
I believe I heard of that movie and I had intended to watch it, but I never did.
Yeah, I'm gonna share this with you. It's a really beautiful story. So here it is, this little girl, she played violin, I believe. So
Okay.
this is well,
This
oh
$5
gosh.
spatula on Amazon, and
I got to
I'm
get one
not
of
paying.
those.
Yeah. I'm not paying anymore for no ads.
Oh, it's good for you. I hate ads, so I pay through the nose.
It can be really frustrating. It's hard to find that last little buzz in the cello.
Yeah. That seems
Well,
like that might have been a private shop.
yeah, I don't want I uh,
I'm definitely
did
gonna look. I'm definitely gonna
here we
watch
go.
it.
Here we go. What is it? Information. In a nondescript warehouse in the heart of LA, a
Mm.
dwindling handful of devoted craftsmen maintain over 80,000 student
Wow.
musical instruments, the largest remaining workshop in America of its kind. Meet 4 unforgettable characters whose broken and repaired lives have been dedicated to bringing so much more than music to the school children of the recording capital of the world. Yeah,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
it's really good.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah. Um, I also wanted to tell you that I wanted to play violin,
Oh, okay.
but my mother said I had the perfect lips for flute. My dad was a sax player, so
Oh,
so I had to play the flute, which was fine. And I played guitar and a little
okay.
piano, and but I really wanted to play the violin. I
Mm.
just really felt, very drawn to it, but it just never happened.
I dabbled with a little flute.
Yeah?
I still have one around here in my closet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. My mother's brother, he played saxophone. And this flute I got from them. He actually had this flute at his house after his kids didn't play anymore. And, no, they just all had lessons, but they didn't keep it up. And then I saw the flute around his house and I was like, hey, can I take this? And he's like, yeah. So I had it and I played around with it for a little while.
Yeah.
Played a little flute, little sax. And then, but the bass kept calling me. The bass kept getting in the way. It won't let me play anything else. It's real. It seems to be really jealous of other instruments. It wasn't. It won't let me touch anything else. You know. So, you know, I use little keyboards, of course, when I'm writing music.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I have the stuff around
The
here.
bass allows that.
Yeah, I have guitars. I have keyboards. I have drums.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't use any of them. But when my son was in elementary school and he brought home the letter from school talking about the music program, and they're like, if you have your own instrument, you're in. So I pulled the flute out and put it in his hand and said, you're in. Go do it.
Is he still playing?
Yeah, he's like me. He plays bass. But they didn't have strings in his school when he was going. All they had was woodwinds and maybe some trumpets and stuff. So he did that, and he played woodwinds, sax and bari sax and stuff all the way through high school. And then, you know, when he got about 13 or so, he picked up the bass. And if you ask him, that's what he plays. Because he plays the whole rhythm section. But if you ask him, he'll tell you he's a bass player.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, so I'll ask you a little question here that you have to think about. But
Okay.
you came from a situation, a life situation, which was great, in my opinion. You know, music on 24 hours a day, instruments all around the house, no forced practice, you know, just, you know, an invitation, a sitting invitation. How important do you think that is, you know, to have, or, I mean, without, you know, without making big judgments on people for not doing it, how important do you think it is actually?
Um, I don't know how important that is, but I definitely could say it's very useful and it could be very advantageous. You know, as you know, children need to explore, right? They need to have things around them that they can explore. I mean, if you take it back to where, you know, we just live really close into nature, you know, you would have your kids going around and just exploring all around them and finding out about life and things they want to do. So now that we live in these modern times, you know, and we have all these goodies, you know, they need to have things around that they can explore with. So if you can make the opportunity for that, and for whatever it is, they should explore. But however, I would push that forward and I say, I think it's very important that at least music is in schools, you know, at least music appreciation. You know, we even, when I came up through elementary school, our teachers would bring music. I don't know if they do that now. They would bring music for us to listen to and kind of analyze and think about. You know, they would play all types of music, things from Broadway shows and, you know, things that were really not real popular, you know, like pop music. They'd bring in some more cultural stuff and have us listen, you know, theme shows from soundtracks from movies. Back when I don't know if can you still buy soundtracks from movies?
Yes.
Like the music part? Cause
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. I kind of looked for a few and it was like the soundtrack, it was like the dialogue and stuff like that as well. You know, I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to just have some of the music, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that's really important to have music, at least in schools, you know, and yeah. And if you can have it around your house, have something. I mean, do it like my mother did, you know, she bought things that were like glorified toys,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they weren't real cheap and trashy like toys, but they weren't, you know, bona fide music instruments,
Yeah.
but they were really good facsimiles that, you know, you can see if you want to go to the next step on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, probably didn't cost a lot of money because I didn't come from a very well-to-do family. I mean, we did okay, you know. I always tell people I've never been poor.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people I like grew up around, they would like to say, yeah, we're poor. I look back on my life, no, we were never poor. I lived well, you know, had a good life.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, having music around, I think it's important.
Yeah. I mean, as the days go on, and as I continue educating myself spiritually, um, I become more and more, let's see, aware that music, um, it's not just like a throwaway. It's part of the design of of the whole plan of humankind, because um, we there's so many things that we get to experience and do and portray being a musician. Um, so many levels, right? So many
Yeah.
layers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, just one little layer is that we get to um, reflect to a listener something of themselves,
Mm,
and
exactly.
they can get a healing, and you don't have to even just say I'm healing you. It's not that. It's like this energy, this level of energy, right, that matches their what they need or who they are, and then they're getting it from you, and it's helping it. I mean, you know, music, it's super powerful.
Yes. Oh, so much so. Music is cosmic,
Yeah,
you know. It comes from the ethers or whatever you say. It's a part of the universe
yeah,
and it travels through us.
yeah.
So yeah, it's beautiful. Once I had a very good experience with music, just to see how I saw just how powerful music was. Actually, at this time, I no, I think I was out of the Air Force, but I was actually living in Okinawa, Japan. And on the Air Force base, they would have these big Fourth of July parties. The whole base, big old thing. All the everybody in town is invited, big thing. So anyway, we was blessed to play there, and I had a little jazz band. We were playing a little like smooth jazz band. Back then, we called it fusion. But it was Grover Washington and David Sanborn and all that stuff. But we called
Yeah.
it fusion. Now it's smooth jazz. So they had to be, and we were closing. We were closing, and so all these people, thousands of people out there, and they were having a great time. Ruckus band with all the rock bands and the blues bands and R&B bands, and they were fired up. And I was kind of nervous. I was like, man, we're gonna come here start playing some jazz. What's gonna happen? So we started playing, and all of a sudden, the whole place just got nice and quiet. People sat down and just started enjoying themselves. And I was like, wow, music is really powerful. I think we were kind of like the perfect ending to close the
Yeah,
show, just to
yeah,
cool everybody out and chill out,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
go home nice and quiet and peaceful. And
yeah.
everybody had a great time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that impacted me.
Yeah, yeah. That also speaks to, being yourself, as a musician, like it's so easy to
Exactly.
compare yourself with other people, but if you're just you and
Hmm.
you do it well, that's all that you need to do.
Yes,
It's great.
I believe in that deeply.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that was a wonderful time. Yeah, and that's when I really learned how powerful music is, and actually see how, in some instances, how the military uses music. You can calm people down, but you can start a riot with music.
Yeah,
It's really deep, powerful communicator.
yeah.
Hmm.
I wonder if they even think like that. Maybe.
The general public, or
No, like, the government,
oh yes,
wonder if they
they
go,
do, they
music.
do,
They
they
do.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't remember? Do you remember that time when it was back with George Bush Senior, and they
Oh,
were going after Noriega, uh, the dictator from Panama or whatever,
yeah.
and he was held up in his presidential manner, and they wanted to come out. He wouldn't come out, so they were just playing some of the most agitating music, super loud, 24/7, and
Really?
at some point, he came out.
I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yes. They
Wow,
yes, they
that's
use the
interesting.
music that way. They're like they'll just wait you out. They just put on some earplugs and blast this music 24/7. The most agitating thing they can come up with, the most angry sounding music they can come up with, and you're gonna give up.
Oh my
I'm
God.
telling you, you can put them to sleep. You can start a riot. You can make them comply. All of it is some kind of,
Oh my gosh,
compliance.
that's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever go back to Japan? I go there a lot.
I haven't been in a long, long time. I lived there for like about 7 years in Okinawa.
Oh,
And I was just in Okinawa.
yeah,
Just living and loving.
yeah.
Playing music all up and down the island and working there. But I haven't been back. My wife and my son, they've been back a few times to visit the family. But I'm eager to go back because I miss the place.
Yeah,
Okinawa
Japan's,
is such a great place.
yeah, Japan is awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. It's kind of like my second home.
yeah. Okinawa is my second home.
Yeah, yeah,
If I had to go retire there, no problem. Let's go.
yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okinawa,
Subtropical.
it has a lot of English speaking. I mean, Americans there,
Well, it's a
right?
lot of military there.
Yeah,
It's heavy on military. The military call it the Keystone State because you can get to China, Vietnam, Korea, Russia from there very easily.
yeah,
So strategically is very important to the U.S. So
yeah.
there's a lot of military there. Hmm.
What's one of your favorite things about Japan?
The peaceful coexistence. I mean, when I was there, I lost a lot of that looking over your shoulder type thing. You don't do that. You don't have to worry about things over there. At least at the time I was there. I was there in late '80s and to the early '90s.
Yeah,
And at that time, I mean, they have a lot of taxi system over there, right? And you probably noticed, at least the taxis in Okinawa, the driver had a mechanism where he could open the door for the patron, right?
yeah.
I've seen so many people come out of bars just dead drunk and just flop into the taxi, and you could trust that guy to take you home, you know, he would get you and take you home and make sure you get there, and it was just a great place. Even if I ran into instances where people seem to not like me because of the way I look or whatever. And even in that instance, they won't get belligerent with you. They just won't talk to you.
Yeah,
And that's fine with me. You know, you just won't talk to you. They would just ignore you. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
yeah,
But they won't try to harm you in any kind of way.
yeah. Right, right. Sorry, I'm noticing Roland. My friend Roland is into Zappa, and so
Okay.
he's always asking Zappa questions. And he said they played Zappa all day long. Who? You mean the Cherries or?
Oh, when they did Noriega thing?
Oh, the Noriega thing. Oh, that's probably a joke. I'm guessing.
Uh, I would guess. I don't want to disparage Zappa. I think they just played some crazy stuff,
Oh, that's funny.
you
That's
know.
that's probably a joke. He's from South America too, so
Okay.
yeah. So it's probably a joke. Um, joke. Yeah, he said joke.
Hmm.
Okay, I got it, Roland, baby. Um, so yeah. Um, yeah, you lived there a long time. That was a
Yeah,
long
I love the
time.
place. I loved it.
Yeah. Were you
I don't know why
married
I
at the
came back.
time? You were married, right? Married.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
married my wife there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes, I met her when I was in the military, and then actually I got out of the military, got out of the Air Force, came back home. We were like engaged, and I was planning to have her come here. And I was here in LA, and I had been away. I had been away in the military in all these safe zones and nice, quiet, easy places. I was stationed up in Washington State at one time, near Spokane. Very nice, kind of quiet, serene place. Got out of the military, came back here. Like I said, the peace in Okinawa, it was in the middle of the crack epidemic.
Mm.
and I start seeing all of this crazy and wild stuff going on all the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting out of here. So I
Yeah.
went back to Okinawa.
Oh.
I went back to Okinawa as a civilian and stayed over there an additional
Oh.
5 years.
Oh.
Yeah, because this place was just chaos. It was a madhouse,
Oh, wow.
you know, and I just didn't like the vibe. I wasn't used to it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody was used to that because that was really crazy. It wasn't like that when I was growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, it was my early youth. It was nice, peaceful, quiet. And then later on, when I got near my teens, the gangs kind of came in.
Yeah.
And things started getting a little kind of hairy and crazy
Yeah.
at that time. But before that, it was great. Didn't have none of that madness.
Yeah.
And so, but I got away, went to the Air Force, and
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Keb Mo from that area?
I don't know actually. I wouldn't doubt it though, but I really don't know that about Kevin.
Yeah. I I mean, he's definitely from LA.
Mm-hmm.
Just sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, shit changes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy.
You
But
know.
yeah, I know the peacefulness. In Japan, I really love the artists and the farmers.
Yes. Yeah. That
They're
too.
always really nice.
Yeah.
And I think I was Japanese in another lifetime. You wouldn't believe how many people say to me, "You remind me of a Japanese grandmother."
Oh wow.
I'm like,
Okay.
right. I know I do.
Yeah.
It's great. I like teaching there a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very it's mostly women who are students. Um and there are some men too, but um no matter what their level is, they have this fragileness that I can, you know, I can handle very gently and get
Mm.
into what their perspective is and how to help them grow.
Mm.
Um, it's really enjoyable to me, really enjoyable, and hardly anyone can't sing, you know. I guess
Yeah.
I guess karaoke or whatever, but
Yeah. That
you
that
know,
may be true. Yeah.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. That's where I discovered karaoke. As they say it. So I,
karaoke.
I don't know how we got karaoke. How did we get re out of RA?
I
How did we
don't
get
know. I don't karaoke. Yeah,
that?
karaoke. Yeah.
you know, so you probably blame that on some of the guys out of the military.
You probably speak some Japanese, yeah?
Skoshi.
Me too. Scotia.
Yeah. People, I would tell them when I was there, I can speak enough to get a gig. That was important. You want to try
You
to
know,
get at least to that level.
my first gigs there were at the Playboy clubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at that time it was like 6 weeks in a
Yeah.
club. So I went
Right.
to Tokyo first and then I went to Osaka. And yeah, as a matter of fact, last May, I actually played with my Osaka band.
Oh,
And that was
cool.
like 45 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And
Beautiful.
it was so much fun. We're going to do it again in May. We're going to go to
Okay.
Kobe and play. And yeah, it's really fun. And they taught me a Japanese song, Ringo Oiwake, which
Mm.
Herbie Hancock had taken
Okay.
and made his Herbie Hancock thing with, you
Hmm.
know? And
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and it was
It
really,
seems vaguely familiar.
yeah, it's a Ringo o hanabira ga
Hmm.
kaze ni chihita yo na.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this,
Yeah, you do very
she was
well
a
with that.
she was a pop singer who made it famous. A very
Okay.
famous pop singer. I can't remember her name right now. She was kind of older, but
Mm.
when she was famous, but Mizoru Hibari.
Mm,
Mizoru Hibari, something like that.
mm.
Mizoru Hibari. Anyway, yeah. So that's my one good Japanese song.
Oh, great. I wish I knew one.
You can.
Yeah, can.
Let's go and play some music. I mean, that music, and like you said, so Ollie said you could talk about that a little bit because I think that's kind of interesting. So you're just kind of coming into gathering your stuff and putting it out on YouTube. And do you have a website as well? I don't think
All
so.
that's yeah, not yet. All that's coming for.
Yeah,
I mean, I use like you familiar with Reverb Nation?
yeah.
Yeah, I use that. Um, that's probably my initial deposit, but repository. But I'm going to developing a website.
And let me just ask you, because I think it's interesting for people to hear and know. Oh, thank you. Hibari Mizora. Mizora? Really? So there's a Japanese maybe person. Aozorarin Sky. Said great Japanese.
Oh,
Thank you. Excuse me. Where's my little thing? So I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind telling, like, okay, you've been a musician forever
mm-hmm.
and you're 62 and now you are gathering your stuff. Just now you're gathering your stuff, making a website, putting, kind of curate your music and put some stuff out. So, well, I guess the question is, why did you wait till now? What were you distracted with other things? Were you being a sideman and that was all, or
Okay, yeah, I primarily, been a side man. I mean,
yeah,
I've led, like cover bands and stuff like that locally in Okinawa, all over, everywhere I've been.
yeah,
I have to fall into the leadership role every now and then until you get tired of it and just say, I'm just going to go and be a sideman for a while and do all that. But I've always been, writing some music. Some of the music that I'm putting out now, I wrote some of those songs 30 years ago,
ah,
and did them in a different fashion. And so, I've been working with David Ornette Cherry for quite a while. We talked about that, and I did, a lot of my recordings with him. He actually got me to record with Leo Wadada Smith,
yeah.
or
Love
he
him.
has so many names. So, but I think it's actually also Ishmael Wadada, and then the Leo Smith. So, but yeah, David introduced me to him, and I worked with him for a little while, and we did a little small project with him and Wadada Smith and the African griot Thomas Mapfumo. Yeah, there was a producer up in Oregon thought it would be a good idea to put those two together for some reason. Very desperate, styles of music, but we got together and put an album. And I don't think it wasn't on wide release. It was on a small record label. The guy up in Oregon actually had his own little record label, and you can hardly find that thing out there. I think I have copies of it. I think I'm going to put it up on YouTube.
What was
It
it called?
it was called Dreams, and Leo Wadada Smith and Thomas Mapfumo, Dreams and Secrets. And that one song, Dreams and Secrets, which I did play bass on, you can find that. Somebody posted that on YouTube, but the rest of the
Yeah,
music you can't find it. But I have the album, so I'm going to post it up.
yeah. You can buy it from Amazon or buy it from his website.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's you on that record.
Yeah, I'm on a few songs, 3 or 4 of the songs. I know that one, Dreams and Secrets. Most stuff that
Oh,
because they, most of the songs that Leo brought to the table, it was both bands got together and played.
Uh-huh.
So it was Leo's band and then Mapfumo's band. And we all got together, we all hung out, and we would all play together and mix together on different songs and different accompaniments, So it was a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing things like that in my recording career. Some years back, a partner of mine, we wrote some music together, an R&B album under the name of my music partner, Fleming Robinson.
Okay.
Album called Back in Love. It's a nice, just throwback R&B, adult contemporary type music.
Yeah.
We did that some years back, and we played around town and here and there, and do stuff. We're playing tomorrow night, as a matter of fact, over in Long Beach.
Oh, where?
A place called the Wicked Wolf.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, the Wicked Wolf in Long Beach.
Wolf. The Wicked Wolf. That's a good name. Long Beach. And tomorrow night, Saturday night. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna do some cover stuff, do some R&B, and probably a few smooth jazz tunes, and we might throw in a couple of originals on that one.
Cool, man.
So I did that, and then I've always been dabbling in recording, doing some stuff, and so about 10 years ago, I had stopped playing the upright bass. As a matter of fact, I was playing. I think it was when was that? Back right before I went back to Japan. I was playing the bass with David. As a matter of fact, we was over at the World Stage. I think it was actually called the Artworks 4 at that time.
Oh.
Billy Higgins and Kamau, they had a space, and it was called the Artworks 4, and it was in the Degnan area.
Yeah.
And we were playing over there, and I had decided to go back to Japan, but I had my upright bass with me, but I didn't want to ship it there.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about selling it. And as a matter of fact, it was a musician and how we were on break, and I was talking to this guy I just met when they was friends, and I would tell him this story. Yeah, I'm going back to Japan, and I really don't want to take my bass with me. I'm thinking about selling. And then he says, he went back and talked to his wife and came back and said, I'll buy it from you. And I sold it to him that night. He was a bass player, and he said, I'll take it. And I was like, okay. It was a reasonably priced bass. It wasn't a really expensive bass or anything like that. But anyway, I always thought, I'll sell it now and I'll just get another one, later on. And that didn't come. That didn't come around. So for many years, I was off of the upright bass. And about 10 years ago, I was given an opportunity to play it again. Some, this agency I was working for, wanted us to play some jazz, and he said they wanted acoustic music. And I was like, well, do I have to play it all night? Do I have to play it the whole night? And he's like, no, you can mix it up. I was like, okay. And the gig was like 3 or 4 months. The gig was like 3 or 4 months down the road. So I had time to kind of get my chops back, and I had time to, get the blisters and let them heal.
Yeah.
We had a bass. I had bought a bass around it for my son. My son wanted an upright bass, so I found a reasonable price one. I got it, and we had it around the house. And I would touch it every now and then, but I wasn't doing anything with it. So, and that gig that was 4 months away, it got pushed back further to like the New Year's. I think it was like almost a year away.
Wow.
It was this gig for one of the casinos and for their membership people or whatever, some private party they throw for them.
Yeah.
So I was like, great. I got time to work on the bass even more. So I worked on my bass. I did the gig, and I was like, well, I guess I'm back on upright. So about the last 10 years or so, I've been on my journey, playing upright again, in and out of it. And, that's a tough bass, a tough instrument to play. And there's some really good players out there. So, usually I just play it on my gigs. Where I can control what I'm playing and what's going to happen on it. Well, recently I've been taking some gigs on it with other people, but in the earlier days, it's like, I think I just play it on my gigs. So, at least when I fire myself, I'll feel sorry for the guy and hire myself again.
Hey, let's play something from that. So Do you
Okay. I think the
recall
title
what?
track. I think the title track. Is there a title track? Dreams and Secrets, or let's see.
There's Dreams, New Delta Blues.
That may
Oh,
be.
and then there's Secrets, New Delta Blues. They're very short.
This is an edited.
Oh,
This is an edited clip here. This is the edited thing. Try to dream, because I think it was called Dreams and Secrets, the song. So somebody chopped it up, I think.
okay, let's see. Whoops. Hey, what was that?
And is there? Let's see. Is there?
Oh, what is maybe this might be.
Well, that's just a test for if you're going to buy it. I think that might just be some samples. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see if I open my normal thing. Put Dreams and Secrets, Wadada. I mean, Leo Wadada, but I'm sure that's not a big deal. But it actually didn't come up. Wadada. So
I may be able to find a track and send it to you.
yeah. Or let's see, Wadada, Leo Smith. I'm curious if maybe he doesn't put stuff normally on Spotify. I wouldn't doubt it.
He's pretty enigmatic if I'm using that word correctly.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. He's such a great player. He's an amazing named who he was from Fresno originally, and then he moved here for a long time. He was kind of like my jazz daddy, and
Okay.
then he moved to New Orleans, and so he played with Wadada here, and I went to see them. Let me. I don't know if you did this, but this is big in America. A little
I
bit.
wasn't on that one.
Oh, you weren't.
Yeah, that was a Mapfumo thing, more in his tradition.
Okay. Wadada is, well, he's kind of
I
a
just
player like, did you send me something?
Yeah, I texted you one that's in YouTube Music.
Okay.
And that one may be on YouTube as well. Let me see if I can find it in YouTube if that's easier for you. Yeah.
So this is you?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Woody Alpha now?
Wait, I'm sorry, hold on.
Should I not speak during this time?
Sorry, what did you say?
Are you familiar with Woody Alplanap? I think that's how he's a guitarist.
No.
Yeah, that's Woody on guitar. Anyhow, maybe I should keep quiet while you're playing the music?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's listen to some music.
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
Wow, cool.
that was kind of
My
a groove piece.
Yeah, my friend Mark said it's cool. It kind of reminds him of Miles Davis.
Yeah,
This.
he was in his bitches brew mode at that time.
Yeah.
I think before that album, Leo had just put out an album called Yo Miles. Yeah, so he was in a little bit of a Miles Davis bitches brew
Yeah.
type of phase right there. The Miles Davis, when was that? That was the '70s, right? He came back.
Yeah. Late
Hmm.
70s or
Yeah,
something.
late '70s. Yeah.
So I have a question. Um, because your line is very similar all the way through that song, right? I
Hmm.
mean, you're changing it up a little, but you're basically laying it down. So, and the drums too.
Hmm. That's what that tune was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. I mean, as a singer and an improvisationalist, there are times when I utilize repetition
Hmm.
because it builds attention, and I
Hmm.
hear the other instruments doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to do that,
Okay.
because they're doing that and it works. So, but I'm curious, how do you, uh, is there, let's see, what's the question? It's basically, how do you look at playing something like that for the whole song? Do you feel like it's my job, or do you feel like, oh, I'd like to kind of stretch out a little, or I like this, or how do you look at that? Like the
Well,
playing of the
yeah,
same, yeah.
that's very fundamental for bass.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in that sound. I mean, that's kind of an R&B, funk, kind of a pop element right there. That in this particular song, the bass and the drums,
Yeah,
right? So, that's so yeah, we have a job to do,
yeah,
and I love my job. I love playing bass,
yeah,
you know. So, so at times we're called to be very foundational and very supportive,
yeah.
and that's what the job is. And it was a cool line, so I love playing the line. And when you get into that music, you get out of yourself and you just listen to everybody else,
Yeah.
because we played that live in the studio.
Oh,
The whole band was there. We played it, and yeah, it's fun playing it and looking at everybody and watching people and just doing it. And it is such a good groove, and it's like that's where that's at.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to upload some of the other ones. Some of the other tunes on there, I stretched out on some stuff. But at that time with Leo, with that, he was into his Miles Davis thing. So if you listen to a lot of those bass lines, it was just like that. Rip,
Yeah.
you know,
And
those.
I'm not familiar with Thomas Mapfumo. Fumo.
Yeah, yeah, he was a big guy. They
What
called
does
him.
he
He was kind of like the Bob Marley of Zimbabwe.
what does he play?
He's a vocalist. He's a singer.
Oh.
Like big in LA, big in America. That was his song. So
Oh.
he sang on that one.
Oh.
And there was a few songs he sang with Leo. Just happened to be that song. It was kind of like a collaboration where it'd be some Leo's work. It'd be Leo's focus, and then Mapfumo's focus, and then them together.
Mm.
And I think on that song, Mapfumo's probably some of his percussionists might have been in there. Maybe some of his musicians was in there on that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that was his drummer, if that was we had Sunship was working with us on that one. You familiar with Sunship?
Yeah.
Theus?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on that. Towards the end of his life, that was kind of amazing to watch him come in. He was on dialysis
Oh.
at that time, and he would come in and just looking very lethargic and hardly moving. But you put him behind the drums, and Superman comes out.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, yeah. And that song was just, he kept it tight in the groove, man. But there were some other things he played on it that just utterly amazing.
So that was him on that
Yeah.
track.
Uh huh.
It was really good. I was listening to all his little, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
I
it's
love.
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Was
had just
there
met the guy on that project,
oh,
and fell in love with him. And
oh,
then he passed just, a couple of years after that.
oh,
I was sad about that because I really want to do some more work with him.
yeah. Was there was there a keyboardist on there?
Um, yes. What was the lady's name? I can't recall her name. I just met her for that. She came out of Cal Arts. A lot of
Oh yeah,
Leo
Wadada.
was teaching at Cal Arts.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
remember
know,
that.
David was on that project, and then he moved on, and then
Oh,
he picked up this young Green is her last name,
oh,
and she came out of Cal Arts. And most of those, a few of them, Woody was a Cal Arts student,
yeah.
and so I'm the only scrappy dude. I come from the back streets.
Well, I guess you're cool because they keep bringing you into the
I'm straight
project.
out of the hood. Oh, but my father taught me how to act.
Yeah.
Gotta be respectful. But I got street rat in me though. I always like tell people with musicians, I'm like half street guy, half like educated guy, because I didn't go to college for music. I got like a high school education in music, and we had really good education. Through my junior. I remember being in junior high, and that teacher, he was teaching us theory, and we didn't want to hear it. We didn't even want to deal with that. We just wanted to play music. We didn't want to
Right.
sit down and count notes and put triads together and stuff like that. And then I went to high school and started taking the class, and I came back to him and I said, "Man, why can't you teach me this stuff?" Then he said, "I was teaching you. You didn't pay attention." I was like, "You know what? You're right."
It's funny. It's funny. I have a girlfriend. She came from a real different background. She was an artist, but she coached executives in speaking. That was
Okay.
Oh, and then also she was a journalist. She was a medical journalist as well. Anyway, when she got to me for lessons, she had so little tolerance. I mean, I really
Mm.
had to use all my charms to
Oh wow.
move her through, right?
Mm.
So, and forget theory. Oh yeah.
Okay.
No way would
Wow.
it couldn't enter her mind and she would just
Mm.
lose it. And so after a number of years, she started really loving to listen, loving the music, loving certain musicians. And she eventually started taking lessons from a piano player, and he actually started giving her theory. And
Mm.
and so now she's actually absorbing,
Okay.
theory and
Mm-hmm.
utilizing it. But
Right.
yeah, it's a funny thing. It pushes people's buttons.
Oh, I love theory. I was just a rambunctious kid back then. We just wanted to agitate the teacher, but really, we just wanted to play the music. We didn't want to do that. But once I got into high school and discovered it, I loved it. So I love theory.
Yeah,
I still, study as much as I can today. Thank God for YouTube, man. You get so much,
yeah,
there's so
yeah.
much out there. I've been learning a lot lately. I was like, oh, that's what that was? That's
Oh,
what that is?
oh.
Oh, I've been doing that forever. That's what that is? Okay.
So what
Yeah.
do you look up? You just look up music theory, or do you look up something
Things
else?
pop up in my feed. I've been looking at so many things, but a lot of stuff with harmony. Been studying a lot of things on harmony. Since I got back in the upright and I recently kind of got into, like straight ahead jazz.
Oh,
I wasn't really into that growing up. R&B, funk, pop, and then when I got to David, that was the Ornette Coleman, Don Cherry school of music. Break all the rules, do whatever the hell you
yeah,
want, kind of
yeah,
thing. So that was my interest into jazz. My entrance into jazz was through the Ornette Coleman school of music. You know, and so I was kind of there. So, and over the years, you play songs, you learn some standards, and you play some things. But I'm not really that real deep background of the jazz standard guy.
yeah.
You know, if you want to, but if you want to create something new and do something right now, I'm that guy. You call me up and we're gonna make some music right now. You know, and whatever kind of style you want to make it in. You want it straight ahead, okay? You want it avant garde, you want it funk, you want it pop, you want it reggae. How do you want
Yeah.
it? So that's kind of my thing. And so when I came to do this music that I just recently reproduced, it was back to the upright. I was playing the upright, and so a few years back I bought it. I was thinking, to upgrade my bass. And those upright basses, you can end up getting a mortgage on some of those things.
I know, man. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll get an electric one, you know. I get good quality, good sound, portability, you know, and just have it that way. And so I decided to go that way. Got electric upright, and I'm playing it, here gigs here and there and whatever. And I'm just thinking, you know, I'm always thinking about projects to do, music to create. I'm always thinking about creating. So I was thinking, you know, I want to do something with the upright. I had never recorded on the upright bass. So I wanted to do something with that. And so I'm thinking, what am I going to do? You know what? I got to get some music. I got to write music. You know how life is. You're doing this, you're running here, you're running there, you're doing this and that. Who has time to write some music? So, you know, I took the easy way out. I said, you know what? I got a few songs that I already wrote, you know, that haven't been published.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just take those and rework them.
Yeah.
Some of them I did them back in the Fusion days. And I was like, you know, I'll just take them and rearrange them. You
Yeah.
know, I have this, one of my tunes I wrote when I was in Japan called Kamikaze. And it's basically a kind of a blues tune, right? The harmony is really a blues. It's kind of a blues. So just slow it down and play it, you know, kind of sort of like a blues, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, you got that, I have that. So still I didn't have a date. Well, a friend of mine who has a studio, he runs a special. And, you know, he sent me an email, say, hey man, run deep discount right now. And I was like, wow, this is just too good to pass up. You know, this kind of opportunity is just too good to pass up.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know, I hem and hawed on it for a little bit. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? You need some music, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what, just pull the trigger. So I just went on his site and booked some time.
Yeah.
You know, booked some time. Said, okay, so I got this song. I went in thinking that I was just going to do maybe a 4-song EP, something like that. So I was like, okay, you need like 4 tunes. Go in and do that. So, you know, I put this tune together, that tune. And then one day I was in my kitchen putting some juice together or something. And I was like, what you going to do? And then all of a sudden, one of my old songs just popped in my head. I hadn't heard that song, hadn't dealt with that song in ages, but it just came out of nowhere. And it was just like the body's just telling me, hey, you can do this song. And I was like, hey, yeah, I can do it. And what was the name of that song? I couldn't even remember the name of the song. I don't remember the name, what I named it before. So I put something together for that tune. And so we booked the time, and I wanted, and you know, I could hear David talking to me, you know, speaking to me. He wanted me to do something. He always pushing me to do some stuff, you know, and a lot of this is in the idiom or genre of what I would do with David, the music that I put together. So I thought, and since his passing, one of the songs I wrote a song for him. Okay, in memory of David Ornette Cherry. I wrote that song. So I had that song, then had some other songs. And so I wanted some of David's alumni to play on the record. And a couple of the guys, you know, they graced me with their presence on that. You know, Justo Almario came through, very generous of himself, and played. I had to wait for him to get back from Colombia. You know, he was in Colombia, and I told him I had these dates. And he said, well, I can see you on this date, you know. And I was like, okay, great, you know. And so, and Don Littleton, he came in, you know, we were all David alumni. So we got together and you know, I had this one tune. I met this trumpet player. I had met a trumpet player. And so I said, well, you know, maybe I'll use this tune for the trumpet on. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got in the studio and we did that. And I was waiting for Justo. That was a couple of days prior to that, and I was trying to save a few songs for him, you know, that I wanted him to play on. And so we were in the studio, had time, and I just turned to the guy and said, hey, man, let's just create something right now, you know? And I think the first one we did, I said, hey, let's play a blues. So I started playing, I just popped off a bass blues riff, and the keyboard player, Anthony, started playing. And then Don came in and started playing, and stuff came together and music came out. You know, we went over it 2 or 3 times, and it's like, okay, let's do it. And we took it, and we called that one Monk Funk 3000. You know, so that came together. And so we ended up doing about 3 songs with just the trio, actually. Myself, Anthony, and Don. 3 of the songs, just the trio. That day, we just improv them, created them right there in the studio,
Yeah.
and did it just really killing time and, making use of our time.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, Justo came through,
Uh-huh.
and we had a great time. Did 2 songs with him. The one for David, which is David always loved those Afro grooves. His father, was a pioneer in world music, Don Cherry, and he passed that to David. And they used to play that hunter's harp called a duzenguni, right? It's a big string instrument with about 3 or 4 strings on it, and a big gourd at the bottom, and a post coming out. And it's called a duzenguni. I think it's from Mali. I'm not sure which country. So his father had one. He passed it down to David. We would always play it. So anyway, David would always have tunes with Afro grooves in them. So I thought I'd put that that 12/8 Afro thing on it.
Yeah.
So we did that tune, and we did a couple other tunes. It turned out to be real nice, and the project just kind of came together like magic.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. Just from the point of the discount being offered, the great value being offered, to just getting in the room. Was doing one song and I wasn't happy how it was going, and I needed another trumpet player. And Anthony said, "I know a trumpet player," and I said, "Well, they'll be down to come through." And he called this young lady up, and so Miss Tatiana Tate walked in the door with all that big old afro, and I go, "Is that your hair?" And she just looked at me, and I was just kind of in jest, playing around. So we got together, and I showed her the tune I wanted to play. As a matter of fact, I had that tune. I was practicing on my upright, and this groove came to me, and I was, "Oh, that's a pretty nice groove. You better keep that one." So I did a little recording of it, and then I wrote down the changes to it. And so I had the session date coming up, and I didn't have any music. I was like, "I need some music."
Oh, wow.
So I said, "Well, you got that groove you wrote. Let's get that together." So I went in my studio. I said, "You got to write a melody for it." So I went in the studio, and I wrote the melody. Daddy written it out, and got in the studio the next day and showed everybody. And it turned out that one. I think that one's my favorite tune.
Oh, really?
That one there. It's a little bit more modern sounding because I just wrote it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what anybody would label it. It's a fusion tune. It's a kind of a smooth jazz tune, but not. But but I like it. It's kind of R&B-ish.
Is Tatiana playing on that?
Yeah, Tatiana played on that one. Did a
She's
great
good
job.
player.
She
She's
did
a
a
great
beautiful
player.
job. Yeah, she did that one, and then she came in and she overdubbed another song that I had had tracks for,
Yeah.
and she blessed us with herself on that one as well.
She has a relationship with Japan too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing a it's too bad I didn't know about your, before I started planning this, but we're doing a Tokyo, Manila, LA Jazz Summit. June 1st, we're going to be at Catalina's, and that's a Sunday.
Oh,
And then
nice.
Saturday during the day, we're going to have like a symposium, like we'll have a panel discussion, and then we'll have a few workshops in the concept of cultural influences into jazz, and a little bit of the history and present and where it's going, and then how to take something and work it around. So, and then Tatiana's going to be in it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So that sounds like a great project. So that's the project that's done, and it's just it'll be coming out whenever.
Yeah, it'll be out soon.
Yeah.
I can't sit on it forever, but doing a little administrative work and a little bit of reworking here, this tune, tweaking this, a little bit of that on the mix. But yeah, it'll be coming out soon. And so,
yeah.
And I've been out beta testing it, as you saw at the aftermath. And we did another show like a week later. We played again over at the Barbara Morrison Theater
Yeah.
There's a little thing over there called SWAM, spoken word art and music, little community thing, open mic thing. But they always have a featured artist, and I have a relationship. I used to be in a house band over there, and I told them, hey man, I got this project. How about letting me come out and feature one night? So we did that, and that was great. And developing some video off of that, so some video is forthcoming.
Wow, man, you're gonna
Yeah,
slam it this year
yeah,
with
we're
all this
we're
PR.
yeah, I'm in the building phase. It's a startup. We're in
Yeah,
startup mode right now. So
yeah.
everybody that's listening and checking in right now, you can say, I remember when at the beginning. I was there at the very beginning. You
I'm
know,
definitely gonna say that.
yeah, yeah.
So, do you have some artists? I mean, your interest is in many different genres. Do you have like desert island records, like anywhere across the board? Do you have these favorite records that you just go,
Mm.
yeah, I could listen to this forever?
I could probably pick some. I'm the type of person that says I don't do favorites.
Yeah,
I just love I love what I love, and I may love it all equally. You know,
and it's what you're in the mood for. But like
right,
for instance, I don't think I'll ever not love the album What's Going On.
right, exactly,
I think I could have that on a
exactly.
desert island, because it's just it's an amazing record, on so many
Yes.
levels. Yeah, so I was just wondering if you have a few artists or albums that you really love a lot. Maybe not your favorite, but
Yeah, man. I would just have, yeah, I'd have to have some Bob Marley. You know,
yeah.
I'd have to have some Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
I have to have some Larry Graham.
Whew.
you know, I'm gonna have some Stanley Clark. You know, I love Jocko too, but I got more into Stanley. I'm more on the Stanley side.
Yeah,
But I love Jocko too.
yeah, yeah,
Probably have to
yeah,
have some Ray Brown. you know,
yeah.
um, yeah, there's music out there. As we're musicians and we play music, and a lot of times we're out just in our working mode, and just playing the pantheon of music, and my motto always been all things Afro. That's kind of what I do. But actually tonight it's another rebirth. I'm out tonight doing a lot of. I got into the situation where I'm going to be doing a bunch of pop and rock tonight. I'm playing a lot of music that I never played before. I mean, I dabbled in that stuff. I play in one band where I say we play everything from Creedence Clearwater to Drake. You know, but that band probably is more heavy on the R&B side and the pop side than on like the classic rock. But tonight it's going to be a lot more classic rock and pop stuff and just a sprinkle of the R&B stuff. So I've been sitting down learning a lot of music. As a matter of fact, when we get out of here, I have to touch that music again and maybe write myself a chart or two before I go over there. Because the dude threw a lot of music at me and I can't learn it all. So, but it's going to be interesting and fun, you know?
But you also come from a kind of a period and your experience, where your ears really lead you. I mean,
Yeah, I grew up
that's
in that.
yeah, that's
You know, back
something you have to experience that
yeah,
to
back
be
in the
able.
'70s when you got a pop and you got all kind of you got a crossover music. You got we got Seals and Crofts
Yeah,
and the Beatles and a George Benson record right behind it.
yeah,
All on
yeah,
the same station.
yeah,
So yeah, grew up with that variety of music just coming through.
yeah.
And just being a music lover. But we play everything.
But well, like along those lines, so I had a jam session in town for 16 years every week.
Mm,
But the first seven were the best. It was at Sportsman's Lodge in
okay.
Studio City.
Yeah.
And that was, at the time, there were practically no other sessions around. Now
Hmm.
there's a lot, but
Right.
at that time it was just a different feeling. It was before heavy YouTube action and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So like it was, I think I started in 2000.
Okay.
So so uh, but what used to happen was it was such a great session. I mean, actually the room was big, so like
Mm.
sometimes it would be packed, like 200 people.
Okay.
So I mean, every week was so much fun. But what was really so much fun for me
Uh-huh.
was the horn players. Somebody would maybe get out Mustang Sally or something,
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden the horn players would come together and play like they had been rehearsing, for
Yes.
weeks.
Yes.
And I mean, those days were so
Yeah.
good when
I'm
that
involved with
that
that.
stuff happened.
Yeah, I got a friend that has a session over in Covina. It's
Yeah.
like the last Sunday of the month. They just had
Uh-huh.
it, and that happens. And actually, my R&B band played over there, and a couple of the guys came through and jammed with us, sat in with us, a trumpet player and trombone, and you can see them over there huddling up, and then next thing you know, got some horn lines coming out and stuff. Yeah, that's real. That's great. It's always
Yeah.
fun doing that. That
Yeah.
might happen tonight. Well, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, tonight's pop rock. Tomorrow is R&B and a little jazz.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we
Uh-huh.
had a lot of singers coming together too.
Hmm.
Background and God, we had fun. We had a lot of fun during that. Yeah. Oh well. But yeah. So okay, so we know what you're doing right after this. We know what you're doing tonight. We know what you're doing tomorrow night.
Yeah. Huh.
We know what you're working on this year. You know, wow, we know a lot about you, Ollie.
Yeah. I try to tell you. I try to
Where
tell
did
you.
the name Basie-O come from?
Basie-O, I kind of created it, but in my reggae world, throughout the '90s, I played a lot of reggae throughout LA, and around the Jamaicans and stuff, they don't know your name, they'll call you all the bass players are bass. All bass players is bassy,
Oh, that's
and
funny. Yeah.
all the drummers is drummy. I don't know if they have one for keyboard and guitar. Those instruments don't matter too much because reggae is bass and drum.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So bassy. All the guys call you bassy. A guy hit me up just a little while. Hey, bassy, you free this day? So I slapped the O from my name, Ollie.
Yeah.
It's spelled Ollie. So, and I wanted to create a brand. So besides being Ollie Elder Jr., so that's another one you could tack on there, Junior. But I've been doing some family research and found out that actually, technically, I should be Ollie Elder third.
Oh, now
Yeah.
the name Elder is really a cool name,
No,
and
thank you.
I would imagine that along the heritage, um, maybe somebody gave your heritage that name because Elder. I mean, it's
Right.
Elder, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's such a cool significance to carry through, right?
Yeah. I haven't found where that came from or how the family got that name. But yeah, that's the family name. And and doing some family research, you find out that everybody was named after somebody. You know, my father was actually named after an uncle of his who I think he had passed away in the year that my father was born.
Oh,
So his father named his son after his brother.
yeah.
And my father's sister, I think, as a matter of fact, my father's sister, she was named after an aunt. I'd never known that until recently.
Huh.
She was named after her aunt. And there's so many juniors and thirds over here and over there. It's like, wow, man, they really passed those names down.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to be Clara. That was my mother's mother, but I guess at that time the name was, thought of as kind of boring or something.
Mm,
I would have loved Clara. I think that's a
Okay,
really
yeah.
nice name. But anyway, it turned out to be Cathy. Cathy.
But there's a lot of Cathys in my family.
Really?
Yeah, my maternal great grandmother, um, her mother was a Catherine, and then her daughter is a Catherine. You know, and her aunt is a Catherine. Yeah, there's a lot of Catherines. And
Yeah.
my sister name is Celestine,
Oh,
and
nice.
we always known she was named after my father's mother, Celestine.
Pretty
But
name.
but I discovered that my grandmother was named after her mother, Celestine.
Oh.
So my sister is Celestine the third, as far as I can tell. Maybe if I get any further back, we're gonna dig up a couple of more. You know,
What's your
but
son's? Do you have a son or a daughter?
I have a son. I have two sons,
What are their
and
names?
my son, one, I was in my traditional phase and named him Charles.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to do the name thing, but there's a bunch of other Charles in the family. And the other one, I was in the Afro bag and named my son Kadim.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So those are my sons. Grown men now.
Are they?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm the senior now.
And how does that feel?
And life is good. It feels great. You see, I sport my gray. I don't get no
I see
no
that,
no just for
man.
men. I earned this.
I
So
know.
I'm not covering it up.
Me
I am
neither.
that I am. And you too. I see it and it looks
Yeah.
good. It looks good.
I colored my hair for a while, and then, we talked about this a little earlier, the
Uh-huh.
natural stuff. But I just thought, I'm a jazz singer. I don't really want to like dress
Right.
up and, I just want to be me. And plus, I want to bring some grace to this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Joyce. Yeah. So that's why I went gray. And it was funny because my sister gave me this article. A woman writer had written about herself going gray, and it was a great article. Actually, sometimes when sometimes women actually approach me out of the blue and just say, "I love your hair. I wish I could go gray,"
Right.
and and I'll send them this article because
Mm-hmm.
this article, it was just like a daily kind of journal of what happened. Some kid parking her car called her ma'am instead of miss or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff like that. And she had to let it grow out, and just the whole thing. And yeah, but it's great. It's just I want to grow old, and I want to grow old gracefully, and I want to
Experience
give,
life.
yeah, I want to give people, the wisdom that comes from growing older.
Yeah. I get a lot of sirs now.
You do.
These days, a lot. Who you talking to? Oh, wow. Okay. I guess it's
Right.
my turn. You know,
Yeah.
I guess it's my turn. So yeah, and I come from a family. I'm used to seeing people with gray hair too. My
Yeah.
my mother's mother grayed fairly young. And she was great. She was great. All the time I knew her. And then actually her son, my mother's brother, he grayed young. He was like 18 years old
Huh.
and as gray as a 75-year-old man.
Yeah.
And but he's always worn it, and it always looked great on him.
I mean, don't you think that, and speaking of us and our careers and being gray and older, don't you think it's fine? I mean, it's almost like, I mean, look at Wadada. I mean,
Yeah,
it adds this kind of honor into it, right? For a
yeah.
musician.
Well, for me, it's just realistic. America is just in,
Yeah.
with so much of this pop culture in America and
Yeah.
and being forever young.
Yeah.
You know, not really. You could try.
Being forever
Do your
young.
best. You can live a great life, but do your best. 20 was 20.
I wonder if I can come up with anything else on you musically.
I sent you a list. I sent you a playlist. You
Oh,
may have that,
oh yeah.
and I'm on everything in that list. I believe it's a bunch of David stuff, and the thing that I recently did with this poet Taalam Acey, and that one tune from Wadada you played. You know, but hey, most of my stuff, you know, in the jazz world is with David. I got to put my R&B album in this list as well. It doesn't have to be just instrumental stuff.
And this the Thug Healer, that's rap or something?
It's poetry, it's spoken word.
Oh, it's
It's
poetry.
mostly spoken word. Yeah, he's Taalam Acey is a spoken word artist.
But a little bit of it.
Yeah, sure.
Skip
meeting
the
for coffee?
video.
I think the one.
We'll work for food. We'll fuck for money. We'll suck for a shower and a
Yeah,
night
there's
out.
some
Anal for a
adult
month's
content.
rent. I will be your pretty girl. I will call you daddy. You can be my Superman. Keep me safe off the ground. Do you know concrete
Which
women
one is
like
that?
me?
Is that's playing?
Do you know how we
Hustle.
live? Do
Okay.
you know what we do for a tampon, a cheeseburger, a shake? I will kiss you slow. I will wear my hair long.
And this is another,
You want
you know,
a
with the
skinny
poets.
woman?
It's groove stuff, you
You
know.
want to see how fast I skinny? Oh, you seen me before. Women like me, sleeping on bus stops, under trees, no shoes. I clean up well. I pretty up nice. I sex real good. I have given up on this life, can't you tell? Tell me what you want me to be and I'll be. Tell me what to say. Take me to your place and I'll sit nice and quiet. Do you want a queen? Do you want a whore? Do you want a slut or a cunt? Do you want me spread all over your body? Do you want to know how I got here? Do you want to know my story? Will you give me a hug? Some fries? May I keep the change? Will you save my life?
Wow. And Mekiel Reuben, who is that?
Yeah, he's a saxophonist, independent artist. Another guy I've been working with for many years.
Let's hear a little bit of that. Is that cool?
He's more of a smooth jazz vibe.
Okay.
Oh, I think was he playing live in Carson that day?
Yeah. Why should
Why should I? Yeah, that's one of his originals. Yeah.
I'm just curious. I like the name Brown Rice.
Oh
With
yeah, that's
Todd.
one of Don Cherry's songs. That came from a concert that we did. It was celebrating Don.
Ah,
I think that was at the I was back at the LA Library. They have that theater over there. They used to have these shows,
yeah,
concerts. You remember that?
yeah, yeah. It's really nice. Yeah, this music, it's really nice. It's got groove and it's got,
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, space and stuff. Yeah, it's really nice. Cool. Love it. Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna. As a matter of fact, David and I both were born in April. His
Uh-huh.
birthday's on the 12th, and we're gonna do a birthday celebration for him at the World Stage
When is it?
on April 18th.
April 18th.
Yeah.
That has a ring to it. Why does it have a ring? Okay, April 18th. That's the day I hang out with my grandchildren.
Oh, okay.
World stage.
Yeah, well, it's an all ages event.
Okay.
We won't be throwing any F-bombs around. Only musically, maybe. Yeah,
Doesn't that start at like 8 or something?
it's like about
8,
8 o'clock,
8 o'clock.
8 p.m. This may be the birth of the David Ornette Cherry Heritage Ensemble. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. So myself, Don Littleton, we wanted Husto, but as you know, Husto fell ill.
No.
And he fell ill about a month or so ago. So he's recuperating. Yeah, I don't know a lot of details or anything, but I just know he's, not
Oh.
able to work at this time, but, recovering.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Husto.
So,
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. But maybe that'll.
yeah, we was hoping he'd be there because,
Yeah.
we all played with David quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, Don would always, he said, man, we ought to, keep David music alive, keep playing it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And actually I was talking to the guys at the World Stage and Dwight Tribble, Dwight Tribble, huh?
Sure.
And matter of fact, he was with David at the time when David passed away.
Oh, wow.
They were on tour in London.
Oh,
And, it was there, they were all together when David passed. So anyway, he was like, man, I'd like to see somebody come and play some of David's music. And I was like, well, we can do that. If you want to do it, we can do it.
that's
So
cool.
we put it together. And
So
April
Dwight
18th.
was singing with David. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Other planetary. Wow, man. Other planetary. Yeah, Dwight's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and what did David die from? Was it sudden?
David, yeah, it was kind of sudden, but David suffered from asthma
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Uh-huh.
And I think he just had a severe attack that night
Wow.
and didn't make it.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty bad, his asthma. He struggled a lot. He actually left LA because of it.
Oh.
Went up to Oregon to get some fresher air. And
Yeah.
that worked for him. And every time he would come down here and every time he would come, we would work, he would have a tough time. He would have a tough time. He would always have to have treatment in the middle of the show.
Wow.
Because the air is just, not conducive for him here.
Yeah. I'm going to write down April 18th so people here can know. April 18th at the World Stage. And what's the title? Is it your birthday or is it you and David? What is it?
celebration of David Ornette Cherry.
Oh, that should be really great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Um, oh, Joyce asked me if I knew that jazz vocalist Miles Griffith just passed.
Mm.
Wasn't he very young, Joyce? Miles Griffith? Wow. Miles Griffith. Miles Griffith. I thought he was very young. Um, well, I don't know how young he was. I feel like he was young though.
Mm.
Um, hmm, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's too bad. Sorry to hear that. Um, as a matter of fact, you guys are making me think a little bit. I am going to interview these guys, but let's see, what day is that? Oh, it's the end of the month. So yeah, so at the Barbara Morrison Performing Arts Center
No.
on Wednesday, April 30th, Ronnie Laws and
Oh
Doug
yeah,
Byrne
yeah.
are playing, and I will
I know about
probably
that.
interview them on the
Oh,
Monday before.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I just did a show over there, and Tim, who runs it,
yeah,
runs the place, manages the place, told me about it.
yeah.
We talked about it.
And that's International Jazz Day. So
Oh, okay.
that's
Good.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's incredible that they're going to be there, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be
Wow.
there. I hear they're
Ronnie
recording. I
Laws
hear
and Doug
they're gonna
Carter.
create a live recording there.
Oh,
They can do live recording and video.
well, I'm going to
It's a
be
great
there.
facility. I plan to do another show there.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, have you talked to Kevin since the event that we did?
We talked a bit. I mean, he wanted some promo material from me,
Yeah.
and we talked about. Yeah, we did talk. He talked about putting together a show. He was
Yeah.
thinking about it, and he, wanted to know if I'd be interested. And I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do something. Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's
So,
cool.
yeah, he's a great
He's
guy.
he's good people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. So,
I've been working with a few people related to the Altadena musicians and fires, and not so much the Pacific Palisades, but the Altadena. If you know of anybody actually who lost their instruments, I have this guy in San Pedro with
okay,
a place called College Arts.
okay.
Some people play and stuff. You could probably play there. But anyway, it's let's see. Anyway, he has a lot of instruments.
Mm.
And it's harder than you would imagine actually finding people who need the instruments.
Oh, wow.
So if you know of anybody,
Yeah, I know
send
a
them
couple
my
guys.
way. Yeah,
A couple guys.
send them my way, definitely.
One of them was on that Wadada track.
Oh,
Yeah, I was listening. I was listening to those horns and those big horns that was coming in.
yeah,
And I was like, what is that? What was that? And at one point I said, oh, yeah, that's a tuba. Oh, that was Bill Roper. I forgot
Bill
William
Roper.
Roper was on there. And
Yeah.
you may know William lost his
Yes.
instruments in his home in Altadena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Benny Maupin lost
yeah.
all of his instruments.
Oh, my God.
He was telling me about the bass clarinet, that he lost.
Uh,
He got it years ago from France, Selma in France.
wow.
You
That
know,
just
it was,
put the
yeah,
pit in my stomach,
I know, me too.
Ray Brown's bass was lost in that.
I know.
You heard
John
about that?
Clayton had it. I was in New York at the Jazz Congress,
Uh-huh.
and John was being honored.
Okay.
So his son went up and said some beautiful stuff. And during that period, while John was waiting to get up, they knew that the fire had taken his daughter's house.
Oh,
He
wow.
got up, he accepted, and then when he got down, he found out that his house was gone. And he had decided not to take Ray's bass on the road.
Mm.
And so, shit. It's hard.
Wow.
It's really hard.
Yeah. There'll be some lessons learned from this,
I hope.
you know.
Yeah.
Store those precious instruments somewhere else in a nice brick building.
Right. Well, Ollie, it's been about 2 hours,
Oh,
and so we're gonna wind down here.
okay.
Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. It's been really enjoyable getting to know you better.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And if I could just tell everybody, you can find me at Basie-O on Facebook. That's Basie-O.
I'll
No,
write that
on
down.
Facebook actually is I couldn't get my preferred spelling, which is Basie-O. Facebook had to be like a first name and a last name, Basie, Basie, and then O-H. That's the only spelling I can get there. And Instagram is the Basie_O. So if you want to find out when the record comes out and the record drops, go there and make contact with me there, touch bases with me there, connect there, and you'll find out when the record drops, and you can say all kind of nice things about it.
What, Roland, when is Emil's birthday? Sorry, Emil's birthday. Oh yeah, the 18th. You're right. It's Emil's birthday. I always write birthdays down so that I
Okay.
actually remember because, it's just too much to remember.
Yeah. I got
Except
so
your
many friends.
birthday. I
Mine is
know
easy.
it's today.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
And it's 4/4, so it's really easy. I got too many fours in my life. Birthday's 4/4. I was brought home to the address 444.
Really?
Yep. And I was born on a Thursday, which is not really the fourth day of the week, but it's the fourth day of the week, the work week.
That's funny, man.
But in Chinese and Japanese culture, that's too many fours. That's not good.
Really?
Yeah, because the same word for four and death is the same word. So they look at four as an unlucky number, but I don't buy into superstition. So.
Well, death really means birth, so,
There you go. From one to another, right?
All right, Ollie. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're in LA, I have a steady gig on Saturday mornings, breakfast and lunch in Santa Monica at Jinkies, which is a really cool,
Jinky.
breakfast and lunch place. It's on the corner of 2nd and Broadway.
Oh, great.
We just keep having fun there. It's really fun. And
Saturdays?
next week, every Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Musicians don't get up till 2 p.m.
I
on
know.
Saturday.
I had to actually move it a little later. He wanted me to start at like 8 or something. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I just can't do that.
Yeah. Except tomorrow I got to get up because I got 2 gigs tomorrow. A
But
private
that's
party.
a different thing.
That's a different thing. You get up to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. But and then Monday I'm going to have Tatang Katindig, who's a Filipino pianist he is a mother. He's
All right.
really great. And
Good.
Friday I'm going to have another amazing pianist from New York, who I happened when I was at the Jazz Congress. I was having a drink with. I was subbing for the regular piano player, and I kept going, this guy's amazing. Who is this guy? Turns out that I guess he played or plays with is it the Manhattan Transfer or the new? Yeah. Anyway, he's really good. His name is Andy Ezrin. So yeah, he's going to be next Friday, a week from today. So that's all that's happening right this second. Thanks for being here, Ollie. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, it's busy.
Yeah, lots of playing. Study hard today. Get those songs under your fingers.
Yeah, I got to do that. Thank you for having me
You're welcome.
in your forum here. It was great. A lot of fun. Appreciate
You're welcome. And just so you know, you're number 620.
you. 620. Oh, wow.
No fours in it.
No fours. But
Unless
let's see if you add them up. That's
subtract.
a what?
A
two-
double of 4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an 8. It's 4s. It breaks down to 4.
Okay, man.
Okay. Take
Thanks
care.
a lot.